Okay, so in this part of the lesson, you're going to start looking at the introduction to schizophrenia. So in this session, we're just going to define what schizophrenia is and look at the clinical characteristics of schizophrenia. So this is all description. So if you can get your booklet at the ready, highlighter and a pen, because you're going to be adding notes to your booklet as always. Okay, so on page 2, under the heading schizophrenia, can you just place this exam style question? So as always, you could be asked for definitions, so outline what is meant by the term schizophrenia. Okay, it could be 2 marks, you could be given a scenario to apply, but basically what schizophrenia is, it is a serious mental disorder and it is characterised by profound disruption of cognition and emotions, so thought processes and emotions as well. And we'll be looking at the different characteristics of that in a bit. It is a type of psychosis, and the thoughts and emotions displayed show that loss of contact with reality as well. It affects around 1% of the population, so it is very rare to develop schizophrenia, and there's also quite a lot of genetic evidence for schizophrenia and biological evidence with neurochemistry, but we will look at that in the next few weeks. I've highlighted this as well, and it's just what's in your booklet. So the term schizophrenia does not represent one disorder, but it's a group of disorders and the type. So a sufferer is diagnosed with it depends on what symptoms they show as well. Okay, so you'll see on page 2 where it says D, the clinical characteristics of schizophrenia, D for description. So this section, we're not doing any evaluation, just knowledge, i.e. description. Okay, so just above that heading, can you please write, outline what is meant by the clinical characteristics of schizophrenia? You could get a 2-mark question on this. Okay, now the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, we're on the 5th version now. Okay, and what that is, it's a manual which helps clinicians to diagnose a variety of different disorders, showing the symptoms and what they need to show to be diagnosed with a particular disorder. So we're going to look at that in more detail now, but there are 2 overall main symptoms with schizophrenia. We've got positive symptoms, that represents an excess of normal functioning, and I'll go through some examples of that in a moment. And the negative symptoms, they are a loss of normal functioning. Okay, also as well, I don't want you to think as positive as good or outstanding. We tend to associate that term with those behaviours. Positive is an excess of normal functioning, whereas negative is a loss of normal functioning. Okay, so you could specifically get an exam question asking you about the positive symptoms. So just above the heading in your booklet where it says positive symptoms, can you add this exam question? So describe the positive symptoms of schizophrenia. It could be 6 marks, it could be 4. You could be given a scenario question and asked to apply your knowledge of the positive symptoms of schizophrenia, but we'll work on that further on. Okay, so remember, the positive symptoms exceed that normal function. The first one in your booklet there are delusions, and we're going to look at a couple of different types which come under this as well. So delusions, to the patient with schizophrenia, the bizarre beliefs, they're not real, but to them they are real. Okay, they really do believe their thought processes, their emotions. Okay, so if we can add this to the booklet now, please. One type of delusion that we're going to look at are persecutory delusions. So these are paranoid in type. They believe they're being followed or spied upon by somebody else, or somebody is out to harm them. or that they're being spied on by the FBI. They're really paranoid that somebody is hurting them or invading their privacy. Another one are grandeur delusions, and this is to do with inflated beliefs about the person's power and importance. So they might believe they're famous, or they have special powers or abilities, like they can speak to, some examples of things like they can speak to aliens, that they are kings, that they are queens, that they can also have beliefs that they're actually a very famous person. Even people who've died, they still believe that they are that person. Okay, another form of positive symptoms of schizophrenia are hallucinations, and there's different types of hallucinations. So for example, visual hallucinations, so people imagining that they can see things that aren't really there, but they seem real to them. It's really vivid, it's really clear. Olfactory hallucinations, so smelling things that aren't there. Okay, also tactile hallucinations, so believe that somebody is touching them, believe that what they are hallucinating is real. Okay, if we go to the booklets, back to the booklet, sorry, on page 2, that last sentence there, something that you probably are aware of with schizophrenia is that many schizophrenics, if we can highlight this, report hearing a voice or several voices telling them to do something. I'm not talking about our inner voice, everybody has that. It's a different voice, which can tell them to harm themselves, or someone else, or comments on the behaviour. Okay, another positive symptom, if we turn over in the booklet now, is disorganised thinking and speech, and we're going to add some notes to that now. So what is on the slide, if you can add that to your booklet now. Okay, with this one, when we're looking at disorganised thinking and speech, the thoughts and speech are incoherent. You will see on the video that you're going to watch in a bit examples of that where they have they're just talking in sentences which are unclear, difficult to follow, but make complete sense to them. Okay, if we can add this to the booklet, please. So we've got neologisms. They're creating a word, the meaning is unknown to others. I'm not talking about slang, which is new. These are words which nobody understands. Okay, word salad is another common positive symptom as part of this disorganised thinking. So it's random words, they are unintelligible, the words are not grammatically correct, semantically the meaning of the words, they are confused, other people can't extract meaning from what that person is saying. Okay, another one, clang. It's a manner of speaking in which words are chosen to related sounds rather than logical meaning. So for example, they might do compulsive rhyming when they're talking, but there's no meaning associated with that as well. Okay, so if we can add that to the booklet, please. With negative symptoms, can you please add now under the heading, describe the negative symptoms of schizophrenia? Could be a 4 or 6 mark question. If you're asking to describe, it's not like a 2 mark outline what they are. You would give examples here. It could be 4 marks, could be 6 with an application, but as long as you're aware that you could be asked specific questions on positive and negative symptoms as well. So if we can get that down, please, under the negative symptoms. Remember, this is to do with a loss of normal functioning. It's not seen as bad or like with positive symptoms good. It's the loss of normal functioning. Okay, so with the negative symptoms of schizophrenia, we're looking at that loss of normal functioning. Remember, positive is the excess, negative symptoms are the loss of normal functioning. One of the symptoms that is seen is a poverty of speech. So they reduce the amount they speak and the quality of speech as well. So for example, in your booklet, if they're given a verbal fluency task, they would produce less words than, say, somebody without schizophrenia. It's not that they don't know the words, it's just that they struggle to spontaneously say what they are. Another one is avolition. So this is where individuals with schizophrenia reduce what activities that they would normally carry out. They don't have goal-orientated behaviour. If we look in the booklet, to be classed, that last sentence, there's abolition, there must be a reduction in self-initiated involvement in activities that are available to the patient. So even things like having a shower, if they've been offered to go for a walk in the grounds or to take part in a game night or do painting, something like that, they don't have any interest. Unfortunately, avolition is sometimes misdiagnosed as depression, so we will look at the issues with diagnosing schizophrenia in the next session. To be diagnosed with schizophrenia under the DSM-5 criteria, somebody with schizophrenia must be showing 2 or more of either positive or negative symptoms which are persistent for at least 6 months. However, if they are showing real issues with, say, hallucinations or avolition, if it's particularly problematic, they only need 1 symptom. Okay, so in the next session we will look at how we diagnose schizophrenia further and the problems surrounding that.